Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to is what will undoubtedly be one of the most jam-packed news rounds we've probably had all summer. Of course, we all know Anthony Gordon dominating the headlines in the last 24 hours or so, um, and so there is an absolute ton to get through here. Not just on Gordon, but about other stuff as well. There's plenty of involvement for you viewers as well, plenty of polls and stuff for you to have your say on. So yeah, this promises to be a good one. So let's just jump straight into it. And like I say, obviously starting with Gordon. So there is all sorts being said, loads of differing opinions going on with journalists. It's going to be quite hard to sum up. I'm going to try and just, as I say, just kind of make a large summary of it all. So the story seems to go that Paul Jones of the Paul Joyce of the Times and Simon Stone from the BBC reckon that Chelsea are willing to meet the £50 million value that Everton have reportedly placed on Anthony Gordon, and that Everton supposedly rejected a bid of around £40 million from Chelsea last night while they played Tottenham. That's when the reports kind of emerged, and it seemed to go very public very quickly, which suggests that would be on Chelsea's end rather than ours. And so, yeah, it appears to kind of be at the moment that Chelsea a bid around 40, Everton one around 50. That seems to be the general consensus. Matt Law from the Telegraph has suggested Chelsea would not be willing to meet that valuation, which, like I say, obviously goes against what Paul Joyce and Simon Stone have said. And then there's all sorts of suggestions from plenty of journalists that are putting two and two together and suggesting that any of these Chelsea players we've been looking at for the summer, the likes of your Billy Gilmours, Conor Gallagher, Armando Broja, or even Michi Batshuayi, could be used as, make weights that bring the price down for Anthony Gordon a bit if of course Chelsea do end up buying him. So that's all kind of up in the air at the moment. Obviously a poll went up last night on the Toffee Blues Twitter. By the time this goes out, it will probably have finished by now. But like I say, there's plenty more for you to all have your say on if you go over to the Twitter. But yeah, this poll in particular, just saying, would you accept £50 million for Anthony Gordon? Got over 6,000 votes, and 71% of people said they would. I was one of them, but I'm going to try and just report on everything that now rather than giving so much of my opinion, which I did in yesterday's news roundup. So if for whatever reason you care what I think, you can go over there and check that out. But yeah, so it's obviously there's all sorts of things about whether Everton actually do want to sell him. The Evening Standard seems to suggest Lampard would be willing to let him go at the right price, and then obviously use that money to reinvest in the squad. Obviously, it's all kind of up in the air about FFP and such, and how much money we actually have got to bring in positions that we still really need to bring in, the likes of a centre forward and probably another winger, even if Gordon stays. And of course, £50 million would go a long way to achieving that. Whereas Joe Thomas from the Liverpool Echo suggests that Everton don't have any interest in selling, and there's also reports that no bid had actually been received yet, and it's still just speculation at this point. That's the Liverpool Echo's stance, and also that of Alan Myers, who is of course very close to the club. And then of course there's also the matter of whether Gordon would actually want to go, and the quite obvious answer is yes, he would. Sammy Motbell, the chief editor of the Mail, has suggested that Chelsea are very confident on personal terms being agreed, which would suggest they've already had contact with Gordon, and it's clear how much they'd be willing to pay him, and it's been made clear by Gordon that if a bid is accepted by Everton, he would be willing to go. And so that's basically where we're at the moment. I imagine there's still going to be plenty of speculation over the next few days. I don't see this going away for a while yet. Obviously, there's just under 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks, sorry, of the transfer window remaining. And deals like this usually do take a while, and there's speculation for ages and all sorts of contrasting reports, which of course we've seen on the first day. So obviously the Toffee Blues YouTube is one of the best places to keep on top of that, of course. So, and also there is a poll that there will still be time for you guys to vote on. There's about 6 hours left as I record this. It'll probably go up a few hours after this, but and it is basically asking the question: do you have faith in the likes of, well, mostly our director of football, Kevin Farewell, to reinvest any money we receive for Gordon correctly? This is much more balanced compared to whether or not you Evertonians would want to sell him. 4,000 votes, 6 hours left at the moment, as I say, and it's 52% yes, so it's very, very close. Based on what I've seen this summer, I would be quite confident. I think, a name being thrown around a lot is Martin Terrier of Rennes, 24 years old, very talented winger. And of course, this money would also probably go quite a long way to getting a striker in on a permanent deal rather than a loan, which has been suggested here and everywhere. And so, of course, that's definitely something that's got to be addressed on. Probably another central midfielder, like I say, Onana's through the door, but we're still waiting on either, the likes of Kamara and Idrissa Gueye have been linked. Ghana looked like it was pretty much done. It's looking less likely that that's the case now, based on just how quiet that's all gone, or the very least it's going to take a while to get completed. So there's still tons of business for Everton to do, and that's just on the buying side of things. Obviously, there's still a few players we're willing to let go as well. So there's still a lot to be done. Obviously, like I say, and the obvious is that £50 million from Anthony Gordon does go a long way to achieving that. So that's all there is on Gordon for now. Like I say, I'm sure there'll be absolutely tons over the next few days. But moving on, and John Percy of the Telegraph has suggested that, I guess, a replacement, probably more in the striker position, in Che Adams. Everton are apparently still interested in him. I know he's not the most popular option for a lot of fans. Like I say, again, another poll on the Toffee Blues Twitter. Again, went up the same time as that one. So there's about 6 hours remaining on that as I record this. And out of 2,000 votes, 58% have said they would not be interested in Everton signing Che Adams. I'm not entirely sure on this one. There is parts of Adams' game I like. Obviously, he was very impressive when he was coming through at Birmingham City in the Championship. As he's I think he's starting to adjust to the Premier League. He was a bit quiet in his first season or so at Southampton, but was more impressive last year. And he's a nuisance. He's a quick striker, maybe not quite the aerial threat we perhaps need. He'd be a Calvert-Lewin backup rather than a first choice. So I'm not entirely convinced on that one, but we will see where that goes. He's been linked quite a lot in the last few days, so I'm sure speculation on that will continue. David Ornstein of The Athletic has suggested that a name we've been linked with on and off throughout the window is really starting to ramp up now. James Garner of Manchester United, who was, of course, on loan at Nottingham Forest last season. Erik ten Hag is apparently willing to let him go if the price tag is met. Price tag would be around £14 million, supposedly, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but I'm not entirely sure how much we need. That sort of, he's kind of that holding midfielder role, which you'd imagine Onana would be in now. And again, with the two-man midfielder that we're employing at the moment, I'm not entirely sure where he'd rank among options we've got there. We've got a lot of central midfielders at the moment. Obviously, it's looking likely Andre Gomez is going to leave if a club comes in for him. It's also suggested Allen might leave, so I'm not entirely sure bringing a central midfielder like that is exactly what we should be looking at doing right now. So Southampton, Leeds are also interested in him as well, supposedly. So I'd imagine it'd be more likely he'd go to one of them two, but we shall see. Daily Mail has suggested a completely new name that has really come out of nowhere. Bristol City's Antoine Semenyo. That's probably the wrong pronunciation, but young Ghanaian winger, has been pretty much one of the first names on the team sheet for the team over the last 2 seasons in the Championship. Got 8 goals last season, 12 months left on his contract. Bristol City apparently want £15 million for him, which, based on the fact he's only got 12 months left on his contract, I'd imagine not many clubs would be willing to meet that. So I'd imagine if he is going to go, it'd be for less than that. But what's most encouraging about this summit is that Crystal Palace are apparently interested in him as well. And obviously, they have a very good track record over the last few years of bringing up players from the Championship, recognising talent that are ready to make the jump up to the Premier League. You know, your likes of Everett, Chiesi's, Michael Elise, both in similar positions. You know, quick, pacey, tricky wingers. I guess Eze's you could argue is more of a central player, but you get what I mean. Similar um, attributes. Bournemouth are also apparently interested in him as well, but like I said, the Palace interest is what catches the eye for me. Um, so again, I'm kind of a little on the fence about this. You know, it's always a risk buying a player in a lower division. You're never entirely sure if they're ready to make that jump up. Um, and you know, like we do definitely need a winger, but would you rather go for someone a bit more established, even if that means paying a bit more? And you know, he's definitely not a Gordon replacement in my eyes. I think but I think Semenyo's more on the right hand side, cutting on the left, so maybe like providing competition for Dwight McNeil and of course Andros Townsend once he recovers from his injury. But like I say, very interesting that this is a name that I don't think I've seen linked to us whatsoever throughout the summer, and has suddenly emerged. So we shall see. And then Moussa Dembele, very very exciting name, I think. Like I say, another poll on this one for the Lyon striker, who's in the final year of his contract and has been offered a new contract by the French club, which he has not yet accepted, which is obviously going to pique the interest of many clubs who will start sniffing around and try and draw him away and try and force him into a move that will be a lot less than his value. Obviously, players in the final year of their contract are often sold for less because clubs recognise that they could very easily just wind down their contract, and then they end up getting nothing for them. So now we would face very stiff competition for this one. Like there's many clubs, a lot of them of much higher stature, and who finished in higher positions than us in the Premier League last season, also after this striker. But there's no doubt in my mind, and I don't think in anyone's mind, that he would be fantastic for us. 21 goals in league on last season, still only 26 years old, 6 foot, so he's got he's that focal presence I spoke about earlier that Shea Adams isn't really. So if we somehow manage to get this one over the line, it'd be a massive coup. And 87% agree with me. With just going into the first hour of that poll on the Toffee Boost Twitter, so just over 1,000 votes on that, 87% saying yes. So if for whatever reason you're very much against the idea of Everton signing Moussa Dembele, then go over there onto the Toffee Boost Twitter and give your thoughts. But finally, and then on a bit of a somber note, a frustrating note more than anything, and the club has confirmed that Yerry Mina is going to miss the next 8 weeks after that injury he picked up against Chelsea on the first day of the season. It's just immensely frustrating. We all feel it because we all know that even with Tarkowski and Cody coming in, 2 very solid centre-back signings, on his day, Yerry Mina was still probably the best centre-back we have. And more to that, he's a wind-up merchant. He's a leader. He's a commander in the air. He's exactly what you want in a centre-back. Problem is, he's just not fit enough, is he? I don't think he made more than 15 appearances last season. Got injured on the first day of the Premier League, and one of the most innocuous injuries I've ever seen in my life. It was very just odd the whole way that happened, and the fact he's out for 2 months. Legs made a Weetabix, isn't it? So yeah, I think. Unfortunately, I think he's coming to the end of his time at Everton. I mean, obviously, it's going to be a challenge finding. You'd imagine a club in Europe who are willing to take that risk on him being fit enough, balanced against his ability as a player. But I'd imagine that we will be trying to cut our losses as soon as possible. So that's one to watch out for in January. So yeah, ending on a frustrating note, but like I say, a massive jam-packed day of news surrounding Everton. But yeah, that just about wraps everything up like I say, any of the polls mentioned in the video, go over to the Toffee Blues Twitter and give your thoughts, or leave a comment on this YouTube video, giving your thoughts on anything suggested. Do you think we should be selling Gordon? Do you think we should be selling Che Adams or Moussa Dembele, or all sorts of names being suggested? Do you know much about Antoine Semenyo? What are your thoughts on him as a potential Gordon replacement, as it might very well be? But yeah, that's it from us. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe to the Toffee Blues channel for more Everton content, and we will see you in the next one. Cheers.